All right, we are officially in that time of year where any day a player can get cut. Any day a player can get released or traded. And yes, we have free agency coming up soon, but there are some decisions that teams need to make before we get to that free agency time. And we're seeing that right now, and the Detroit Lions are about to lose someone who has been an on and off face of this franchise for really the last 5, 6, 7 years. And a report has come out that the Detroit Lions are planning to release Jalen Reeves-Maybin. So here's what I want to do in this video. I want to talk about the numbers. I want to talk about a potential replacement. I want to talk about the production or possibly lack thereof last year that probably led to some of this. And we're going to cover all that in this video. But first thing I want to cover is, what is the money? What is the money? Because you know me, I'm a salary cap nerd. And in case you forgot that during the regular season, I'm just here to remind you. So as the cuts start to come in, or releases or trades, or we start finding out who we're not bringing back, who is the player on this roster that you think could have a chance of being let go or not re-signed that you're most afraid to lose? Who's the player on this team that you're most afraid to lose? And no, it's not Aiden Hutchinson. There's no chance he's going anywhere. It's not St. Brown. It's not Goff. All right? It's not any of those guys, but guys that actually could be up for it. All right, so let's first look at the number. Jalen Reeves-Maybin was going to cost $4.65 million against the salary cap this year, but that will drop to just $2.75 million in dead cap after his release. This saves the team $1.895 million. He is due a $500,000 roster bonus on March 1st. All right, that's Saturday, I think, right? And so the official move is likely coming today or tomorrow. It says in the article the next day or two. That's today or tomorrow. Unless you're watching this tomorrow, then it's today or yesterday. Anyways, I'm sorry. Sometimes I get dumb. Sometimes I get dumb in videos. So let's talk about who Jalen Reeves-Maybin has been for the Detroit Lions. And I like to look like we know who he is. He's 30 years old. He came into the league for Detroit in 2017. He played every year of his career except one in Detroit, and in that year he was in Houston. And his defensive numbers, as far as PFF grades go, I'm just going to show it to you. All right, they're not great. Like, it's not like they're great numbers. His overall defensive grades have never been good except the first year he came back to Detroit after Houston. He balled out, right, with an 88.6. But again, it was only 121 snap counts. The most snaps he's ever played on defense was 615, and it hasn't even been close after that. It hasn't even been close. But that's not where he makes his money. So we're not going to just talk about what he did. We're not going to just talk about it in that respect. We're also going to talk about it on what he did on special teams. And look, you can say what you want about PFF. I get it. The grading system, whether it's good, bad, or somewhere in between, say whatever you want. All right? But none of us are good judge as we watch a game live on TV of how great a player is playing in special teams. No, none of us. But PFF still encompasses all those. Look at the total snaps that he played for. He played far more snaps, over 700 more special team snaps in his career than he did defensive snaps. That's kick return, kick coverage, punt return, punt coverage, field goal block. How many of us are watching Jalen Reeves-Maybin on a kick return team? On a punt return, not coverage, return. PFF is. And you see that he has always been a phenomenal special teams player. All right, coming into the league, then he got really good. That's where he got, in his third year, he got the reputation for being a really good special teams player. And then he continued to be good, and there was a large drop-off this year. I understand he had the neck injury. I'm sure that played a part in it. But the Lions have decided that, you know what they're going to do? They're going to go ahead and they're going to save some money on this. But here's what it does to our linebackers room. Let's talk about that, and let's talk about possible replacements via free agency. We'll get there in the draft as well. We will get there in the draft as well. But you have a linebacker coach that is your new defensive coordinator. I think there's a world where he goes out and gets another veteran presence in the locker room at linebacker. So this is what it leaves our linebacker unit looking like. All right, a lot of these guys aren't signed for another year. You have Jack Campbell, you have Alex Anzalone, and you have Malcolm Rodriguez. The rest of these guys, I don't believe, are signed into next year. You have Deron Gilbert, who you could bring back, and Abraham Beauplan. Okay, those aren't guys that you want to trust to be part of the rotation. You could bring back Derek Barnes. All right, you could bring back to be part of the rotation Ben Neiman. All right, go for it. That's fine. But this now makes linebacker, and I'm not saying it's a huge loss, but there is a world where you start to realize, okay, we have Jack Campbell and Alex Anzalone are very much starting caliber linebackers. Both of them graded out as starting caliber linebackers, being 10th and 35th out of 84. Malcolm Rodriguez, I do believe, is a starting caliber linebacker, at least a rotational caliber linebacker. He was actually 17th in PFF grading, but he tore his ACL over Thanksgiving. He tore his ACL. So will he be ready at the beginning of the season? If he is, what percent is he? I don't know the answer to that question. So there needs to be more depth at this linebacker position. So let's go ahead and take a look at who could come in and how much it would cost. And this is interesting. PFF has a great thing, and I know I'm all PFF on this one. I get it. I like PFF. I think it's great. I like The Athletic. I like PFF. I like a few different websites. But I like Spotrac when it comes to contract stuff. But when PFF does it all in one place, that's what I'm going to show you right now. All right, first one is Dre Greenlaw. How do you feel about Dre Greenlaw? We know a lot of us were watching the Super Bowl, if our heart could take it, after watching the 49ers beat the Lions when he was running onto the field and tore his Achilles. That was awful. And he only played 34 snaps last year. 34 snaps. But he has been a really good linebacker, and with that health not being proven, he's not going to be super expensive. Would this be a great 1 year, $8 million, $6, $7, $8, even up to $10 million contract? Would it be worth it? You have other guys. I'm not even considering Nick Bolton. He's a good linebacker. Don't get me wrong. He's he's good, right? But $15 million a year, no thank you. Bobby Wagner, we saw that he still was elite and has continued to be elite. I don't know how this guy does it, but what an awesome voice to have in the locker room. But he plays the same position as Jack Campbell. You have Ernest Jones. You've got Zach Bond. You look at these guys, there is a lot. You have Sherwood. Levante David is another name that I really, really like. I really like it. I think in the right system, it can go really, really well. Same with Spillane. There's a lot of these guys that are your $5 to $10 million a year guy that you might not have to give a super long contract to, so it doesn't stock you up. I don't love the idea of a rookie linebacker coming in and having to get used to the system with a new defensive coordinator, a new linebackers coach. So I would say if you are in that same price range, and by the way, Derek Barnes does not make the top 100 on this, which is crazy to me. All right, which is crazy to me, but maybe you just try and re-sign Barnes. Maybe that's the go. What do you want to see? Do you want to see another name coming in fresh, or would you like to see us bring Derek Barnes back? How sad are you to see Gerb go? See you in the next one.